What's up, Facebook? Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Here we are. Had a little late start today, so I apologize. Had to reschedule a couple things, but nonetheless, we are still here. Wait for some of you guys to join in. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. Nikki's back. Nice to see you again. Glad you're here. Maybe someone else can explain because I don't fully understand Facebook things, but like I can always see in the top left corner of the live videos like how many people are watching, but then I can only see when like a couple of you are joining in. So Jake's here now. Hey Jake, glad you're back. So maybe one of you can explain that to me in the comments. I feel a little not hip with the times, trying to figure out Facebook things here. Anyways, enough of that. Hope everyone's doing okay. So feel free to check in with me in the chat right now. I'd love to see how some of you guys are doing, how your day's going so far. All right, so we're going to jump right into the reading today. So for the past week and a half, I've been reading out of the book by Tim Ferriss called Tribe of Mentors, Short Life Advice from the Best in the World. Tim Ferriss is the #1 New York Times best-selling author of The 4-Hour Work Week. Pretty cool book, by the way. And so Candace is on here. Hey, Candace. So I always like to give you guys just a little bit of background, especially for those of you who are new to this video. So Tim Ferriss was kind of at this point in this kind of fork in the road point in his life around the time he turned 40. This was back in 2017. He had just had a lot going on in his life and was really starting to question a lot of things, things that were working out the way they weren't supposed to work out. I feel like he was kind of, as I'm reading this, he was kind of entering some type of life crisis. So Tim writes in the beginning of this book, as often happens at forks in the path, college graduation, quarter-life crisis, midlife crisis, kids leaving home, retirement, questions started to bubble to the surface. Were my goals my own, or simply what I thought I should want? How much of life had I missed from underplanning or overplanning? How could I be kinder to myself? How could I better say no to the noise, to better say yes to the adventures I craved? How could I best reassess my life, my priorities, my view of the world, my place in the world, and my trajectory through the world? So many things, all the things. So one morning he wrote down all of these questions that he had, and he was overwhelmed by this wave of anxiety because the list of questions he had were feeling very overwhelming. So I see a couple more of you guys checking in on here. Awesome. Hey, Danny. Tacey is on here. Glad to have you join in. Not doing well today, depressed. I'm really sorry to hear that. I know it's a really tough spot to be in, you know, and especially with everything else going on. I feel you on that. Kiera's here. Yana just joined in. So glad you guys are here. And Tacey, I hope, you know, at least we can spend the next half an hour kind of working through some of that depression and joining in on the reading today. So I'm glad you're here. So anyways, Tim had kind of like wrote down this list of questions that he was really struggling with, and was feeling anxious. And then he decided to ask himself the one question that helps answer many other questions. What would this look like if it were easy? And this could be anything. So kind of doing that, he started to have this idea that, you know, he kind of wanted help answering these questions. Tim asks, but what happens if we frame things in terms of elegance instead of strain? Sometimes we find incredible results with ease instead of stress. Sometimes we solve the problem by completely reframing it. And so Tim had this thought, what if I assembled a tribe of mentors to help me? More specifically, what if I asked 100 plus brilliant people the very questions I want to answer for myself, or somehow got them to guide me in the right direction? So, and that was kind of the premise of this book, right? So he came up with these 11 questions, and he sent out the identical set of 11 questions to some of the most successful wildly varied and well-known people on the planet, and he asked them to answer your favorite 3 to 5 questions or more if the spirit moves you. And eventually, some people started responding to Tim. Like, all these answers just started flooding in, and they were much more thoughtful and, these longer answers than Tim had really expected. So what he did was he started putting together this book with all of these questions that these 100 plus brilliant people and some famous people in here had wrote back to him. So there's an entire list in the front of this book of all the people that wrote back into Tim. So there's some pretty cool people in here. So what I've been doing with you guys is, hi Keisha. So what I've been doing with you guys is going through one of the 11 questions a day, and then picking someone out of the list of 100, sharing their response with you, sharing my response with you, and most importantly, I love to see your guys' response in the comments. Yesterday we had a great discussion. There were so many people commenting in on one of the questions we focused on, and it was just such great conversation. So I'm hoping you guys can bring in that energy today. I am asking you guys to be open, to share your vulnerabilities and your struggles and even your joys and your accomplishments on here too. So I'll post the question in the chat in just a moment, and as I'm reading the responses, I would love for you guys to think about this question for yourselves and what it means to you. And we talked about yesterday how my answer is going to be different than the answer that's in the book, then what's different for yours and your friends, whoever's reading that question. It's all going to mean different things to each and every one of us. So it's very cool to me to see how everyone takes these questions. There's some pretty good ones in here. So today's question, if I can find it. All right, so today I picked number 10 on the list of 11 questions, and the question today is, in the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to? Distractions, invitations, etc. And what new realizations and or approaches helped? Any tips? So I'm going to quickly write this question in the chat for you guys to think over, and I'm going to go on to our response here. So give me a second, bear with me. Oop. Sorry if there's any typos, I was kind of going quick in there. So that's the question we're going to kind of be talking about today. So whose answer I picked today was actually, so this chapter was from Terry Crews. So some of you guys might know who he is. Just to give you a little background on Terry, he's an actor and former NFL player for the Los Angeles Rams, San Diego Chargers, Washington Redskins, and the Philadelphia Eagles. His wide-ranging credits include the original viral Old Spice commercials, television series such as The Newsroom, Arrested Development, and Everybody Hates Chris, and the films including White Chicks, The Expendables franchise, Bridesmaids, and The Longest Yard. He now stars on the Golden Globe award-winning Fox sitcom Brooklyn Nine-Nine. In 2014, Terry released his autobiography, Manhood, How to Be a Better Man or Just Live with One. So that's whose answer I picked today, and his definitely caught my eye. So really refocusing back on the question of today was, in the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to? And what new realizations and or approaches helped? So Terry's response was, I realized that I had to let people leave my life, never to return. Every relationship I have in my life, from family and friends to business partners, must be a voluntary relationship. My wife can leave at any time. Family members can call me or not. Business partners can decide to move on, and it's all okay. But the same is true on my end. If I say I'm ready to move on, and someone doesn't accept that, now we have a problem. I remember trying to move on from a very close friend because he was displaying behaviors I wasn't comfortable with. Soon after, I received a letter by certified mail threatening me with a lawsuit for over $1 million because of the demise of our friendship. It was ridiculous, and it still is. So I actually framed the letter as a reminder of the necessity of letting people go and moving on. One approach I use is imaginary great-grandchildren. I talk to them all the time. I ask them about decisions and relationships and whether or not to continue them. They tend to speak loud and clear. Grandpa, you shouldn't do this, or you need to leave these people alone because we will be affected negatively, or worse, we won't exist. Those moments show me that this whole thing is bigger than me. It's the realization that there is a will to pleasure, a will to power, and in the words of Viktor Frankl, a will to meaning. You won't take a bullet for pleasure or power, but you will for meaning. So you sometimes have to do what I call a crowd thinner. One wrong person in your circle can destroy your whole future. It's that important. And I had read through that a couple of times, and I can definitely relate to that. That actually, I was kind of writing down my answer to this question too. But it was more so really just thinking about, that is one of those hard things to say no to, right? Family members, friends, significant others, for those of you who, are in the recovery world, sometimes it's hard to say no to, those old people, places, and people and places that we used to spend time with. That was actually part of my answer that I wrote on here, and was actually kind of tied a little bit into Terry's response. His first sentence was, I realized that I had to let people leave my life, never to return. And that's hard, again, especially with those people we care about. We don't want to cut those relationships off. We may get mad at people, or we may get frustrated with people, or have an argument or a disagreement with them, but at the end of the day, those people are their friends, their family. We can't ever cut them off, right? I think so many of us get in that mindset, like, because there's somebody close to us or related, we can't cut them off, no matter how toxic it is. But that can be so detrimental, right? His last two sentences in his response was, one wrong person in your circle can destroy your whole future. It's that important. And I had to ask myself that too. Part of my answer to this question, in the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to? And I think back to, I don't know, two and a half years ago, somewhere around there, when I first entered my own recovery. It took me a long time to finally start saying no to the familiar people and places and things that I used to fill my life with. That was really hard. For a while I was still engaging in those same people and places. And, that for me, that really kept me struggling for a long time. That was actually really detrimental to me in my recovery. And I didn't realize it at the time. But over time, I did slowly start to become better at saying no to those things. And where are we? And the other part of that question was, what new realizations and or approaches helped? Any other tips? And I was thinking about that too. I'm like, what were the approaches that helped me kind of break that cycle to help me to start saying no to these things? And I wrote down a couple things, and they were just simple statements. Be fearless. I had to face those fears. I had to face the fear of the unknown, and coming into recovery, brand new territory, surrounding myself with new people, new situations, things I was very unfamiliar with. I had to be fearless. So that was one of the first things that helped me. And then, I'm kind of stealing the Nike slogan here. I hope Facebook doesn't yell at me, but just do it, right? That was one of those things that really helped me. And it's so simple. Sometimes we hear that stuff and we're like, well, it's not that easy just to do it. Well, of course it's not. There are so many things in this life that aren't that easy. But for me, I just had to do it anyways. I had to push myself and just make myself do the things. I think we had talked about this a couple weeks ago, but that idea of fake it till you make it, that's kind of along those lines. That's another one of those tips that helped me through. I just continued to do the things, whether I was comfortable with them or not, whether I wanted to or not, and I just continued to do them until they really started to catch on, until I really started to actually feel the change. And that was really difficult, Some of the other things in the past 5 years that I've gotten a little bit better at saying no to is saying no to toxic people. That was, the same thing that kind of Terry had said too. Like, it's hard to say no to people from our past. It's a very challenging thing, and sometimes it's really uncomfortable. But, over time I realized that, in any type of relationship, not just a romantic one, but any type of relationship we have with another human, it should be an equal amount of give and take, right? And sometimes it's not. Sometimes one person puts in a little bit more effort when the other one's struggling, and vice versa, and that's okay. There's that back and forth balance. But there are some people that I had to look at in my past and ask myself, like, what am I getting out of that relationship? Is all I'm doing in this relationship just giving, 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 and receiving nothing? Is this person draining all of my energy? Is this person toxic? Is this person even healthy for me to be around? What is this person adding to my life today? I'm giving, giving, giving to them. Am I receiving anything back? And if I am receiving anything back, is it helpful? Is it healthy? And there were times where I really had to pause and think about that. And those were some hard realizations to look at. Those were some hard no's, the answer no. Those were very challenging. It was hard to let those go. And, the other one that I've realized in the past 5 years that I've gotten somewhat better at, is saying no to people when my mind and my body really meant no. How many of you have gotten in this situation where and it can be something so simple too, like where someone asks us to go do something, whatever, let's go do something fun. And, while I'll commit, I also in my mind have in the back of my mind, well, I've got this, and this to do today, and then I got to go do this thing, and then I got to work out, and then I got this, and geez, I'm going to be exhausted by the end of the day. But I don't want to disappoint this person, so I'll just say yes. I had to think about that too. That's actually really not self-care, and it's been hard to have that realization, but I've realized, and I've tried to practice it a little bit more, that if I'm really feeling like I want to say no and not commit to something, it's okay to do that. In fact, I'm actually being kind to myself by doing that. I'm being true to myself. If all I'm doing is saying yes, yes, yes to everything and piling this, that, and the third on my plate, and all of a sudden I've got a laundry list a mile long of things to do, and I'm overwhelmed and I have no energy and space left for myself, what is that doing to me over time? What is that doing to you? Is that self-care? You got to think about those things sometimes. So those are just a couple of, my answers to that question of what I've gotten better at saying no to in the past 5 years. So I definitely want to check in with some of you guys in your comments. And for those of you that are just joining in, hi, glad you're here. Hoping you guys can check in with the question. I did post the question in the chat for those of you that are just joining in. And I would love to hear some more answers from you guys. I'm going to go through some of these. Keisha says hi. Hi, Keisha. Jake is back on here. Good afternoon, everyone. Doing great today. My routine is really starting to shape. Making sure I can interchange my actions and schedule is a focus of mine for when changes come. Change has been a big trigger for me. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Jake. And that's a good point, too. Change is a big trigger for a lot of us, right? So many of us just get very comfortable in the way that we do things because it works, or at least for a while, right? So we get comfortable in that. And then when something comes along, like, the giant elephant in the room of pandemic, what is COVID today? Like, something like that comes around and disrupts all of our lives. And now we're all forced to make a change. So that's really difficult. And that is a trigger. I feel you, Jake. Kiara says, saying no to drugs and alcohol. God is the only thing that gave me the strength to do that. Also the 12 steps. I have a better one. Saying no more to an abusive relationship. I had to find the strength through therapy and my support system and stand on my own 2 feet in court to get a restraining order. Yeah. That's a really difficult situation to have gone through, and sometimes a scary one. Thank you for sharing that, Kira. And, we think back, let's think back on that. Has anyone else ever been in a toxic, unhealthy relationship before? Sometimes, again, that's hard to say no to, because at one point that is someone that we cared about, but at some point when that relationship, and again, it's not saying that that's a bad person by any means, it could be someone else who's also struggling, but, again, we're forced to slow down and really look at it and say, is this healthy for me? What is it doing to me? What is it doing to my life? Am I growing, or am I just going backwards? So sometimes we have to really pause and really ask ourselves these things. So thanks for sharing that. Nellie says, I'm new here, just released from prison, struggling because I'm not from Rochester. So I don't know the things here, and also don't have friends around because we can't get out. Yeah, that's Wow, that's really challenging. I'm really glad you're here, Nelly. And I'm so glad that you spoke up on here. That's huge. And I do want to get into that. We do have, for people that are new on here, someone else had shared the other day that they're just a few days out of treatment as well, and someone else is, you're saying you're just released from prison, kind of struggling. It's a really tough spot to be in, but again, you're on here, you're at the right place. We're doing things a little bit differently now than we normally would, and we're all trying to adapt. Us at Rock Recovery, we're on here doing these videos every day. A lot of you have been tuning in constantly, and we appreciate the support, and we love connecting with you guys. And then there's some of you that are new that are on here, and that is so great. I wish we could connect the way that we normally do in person in the community, but right now this is our reality. So this is the way we're all kind of adapting and moving forward. So Nelly and whoever else is out there, if you guys are needing connection, if you're new, if you're feeling like you don't know a lot of people or have friends right now because you're just, coming out of a different situation, that's okay. We're here for you. If you go back to the Rock Recovery Facebook page, we have some new information posted on there. You can view our virtual schedule so you can see what time all of these videos are going on every day. We also still have our peer support services. So if you guys are looking to get connected with somebody else who is also in recovery, somebody who can, walk alongside you in your journey and really just get you connected and be there to support you, please reach out. We do have a phone number that's posted on there as well, so you guys can find all of that information on our Facebook page. You can also share that with somebody else maybe they could benefit from it. Maybe they're struggling. Maybe they could use these videos in their lives. I don't know, but please share it. You guys can also go to rockcoveryfitness.org and check out our website. All of these videos that we've been doing are saved and logged onto the website too. So I really encourage you guys to reach out. Please don't hesitate. We're here for you. We want to hear from you. We want to connect with you guys in whatever way that we can help, and we'll do what we can to point you in the right direction and help any way that we can. So Nelly, I'm really glad you're on here. Welcome. Jake also says, I've become better at saying no to self-centeredness. Constant theme I've heard from people that have had success and growth in recovery and life in general. And that they listen and take suggestions from other people who also have that success and growth. My best ideas and wants have only led to hurt and destruction. Once I've surrendered to the program and my higher power and began willing to give my all and surrender, life got better. I began to feel a peace and happiness I've never known. Jake, I've really enjoyed all your comments on here. You've shared a lot of honesty and vulnerable things on here, and that really takes a lot of courage, and I just commend you, and I thank you for sharing those. This helps me too. It really does. You're so right. For a long time we live our lives a certain way, and sometimes we kind of bulldoze our way through life, and we kind of act on our own impulses, and that can lead us to, hurt and destruction. Absolutely. I can relate to that. But sometimes saying no to ourselves and no to our own habits and our own behaviors, I've had to say no to myself plenty of times when I knew I wanted to act on something that in the back of my mind, that little voice was speaking up saying like, I don't know, this isn't a good idea. In the past couple of years, I've had to say no to myself a lot of times and really just start to surrender and trust other people who have come before me and had success and growth in their recovery, and really start listening to them and taking their suggestions. And that's really helped me. So that's so great, Jake. Thank you for sharing that. Kira's replying to Nelly's comment. Yeah. So, and if you guys want to connect with each other through these chats, please do. You guys can message each other on here. I really encourage you to just connect. If you don't want to connect with us, that's fine. There are plenty of other people on these videos and who are commenting in the chats that you guys can connect with too. So I'm so glad that to see that you guys are reaching out to each other too. Thank you guys for doing that. Seriously. Tacey says, last 5 years, I've been better at setting boundaries and unhealthy people. I deserve to be treated the way I should have, and always be a people pleaser. But if I don't want to do something, it's okay to say no and make healthy choices for myself. Absolutely. Yeah. It is okay to say no at times, right? We don't need to pile 5 million things onto our plate. That's stressful. It's overwhelming. I can't handle that stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I do it for a long time and then I stress myself out. So that's one of those things that we learn to say no to. It's okay. Nikki says, Girl Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis is a great read and really drives home today's topic. Saying no to things that just don't make you happy or keep you healthy without apologizing for it. When I started saying no to unhealthy people and places and things, it left time and energy for things I want to say yes to. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So that is a book on there that that Nikki has posted. And I love that, right? You know, I think oftentimes we do get in those moments where it's like, okay, like, yeah, I said no to this thing. And I'm like, oh, now I feel guilty. Now I feel like I have to apologize for it. My goodness. Why? That's really great. I'm so glad that you put that in there and gave a little book synopsis there. Yes, someone else on Recovery also commented on here, and just to share this with you guys too. Welcome, Nellie. So glad you tuned in. We can definitely help you navigate the new waters and connect you to strong people in recovery. Our outreach and engagement specialists, me being one, are here to walk alongside you on your recovery journey. So guys, we do have this, our new phone line as well. It is, someone did post it in the chat right now. It's 585-622-4975. Again, that's to connect you to peer services. And even if you're just needing somebody to talk to, please reach out. We're here for you. Anna's asking, I can't see your question. Can you repeat it? Anna, today's question was, in the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to? Distractions, invitations, etc. And what new realizations and or approaches helped? Any tips? So that's just a repeat of the question there someone had asked. Richard said, sorry I'm late. Richard, I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're here. It's okay if you guys are late. Again, these are live videos right now, but every video that we do saves immediately after. So you guys can always go back on our Facebook page, and under the videos, you'll see all the wonderful videos that everyone else has been doing as well. So no worries if you're late. We're glad you're here. Better late than never. Tacey also says, this is also growth for me, and set and keep boundaries. I got a lot of outside help, and going through the 12 steps and traditions helped with my self-esteem and awareness and recovery. That's great. That's amazing. It's so great to see the different things that you guys are doing to help yourselves. It sounds like there are a lot of you in the 12-step community, which is great. And, you know, like we at Recovery, we support all pathways to recovery. And, you know, it's just so cool to me to see the different things the different tools that you guys are using, the different programs that you're using, books that you guys post on here. You know, I've seen a lot of you kind of posting on here the last couple of days that you're getting outside and you're taking a walk. You know, you're taking a break mentally if you need to. You know, you guys are just doing so great, and I just really appreciate everyone's honesty and your vulnerability on here. It's just huge. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. So I want that to kind of be the takeaway for today. You know, I continuously talk to you guys about having this self-awareness, and I continually encourage you guys to check in with yourselves throughout the day. And I want to keep that theme going. Check in with yourself today. Are you guys able to check in with yourself multiple times throughout the day? Are you able to check in not only just with the smaller things like what's going on right now, what you're currently feeling, your emotions? Those are great things to check in. Sometimes it's great to check into the bigger picture. You know, sometimes we need to take a huge step back and look at our lives and the areas of our lives in a different outside perspective. So I want to ask you guys, in keeping with that theme, because a lot of us were on that same page today of saying no to unhealthy or toxic people / relationships. And some of you guys were saying no to your disease, saying no to all those people, places, and things that were unhealthy for us in the past. You guys are on the right track with that. So I would really love for you guys, your takeaway today to be, take a bigger step back, do a larger check-in with yourself, and maybe reassess some of the relationships that are currently in your life now, or some of the situations. And I know it's easier said than done to, you know, remove ourselves from a situation, especially when maybe some of you are quarantined with your negative situation, and that's a really challenging spot to be in. And if that is your case, you know, I feel for you, but is there a way that you can still reach out and talk to other people about some of those struggles at home that you're maybe going through? And again, that doesn't mean that we cut off every single person in our lives by any means, because oftentimes those people are struggling as well. But you know what it means is, you know, Nikki actually said it, and I really love that. I want to go back to it. When I started saying no to unhealthy people, places, and things, it left time and energy for things I want to say yes to. And I love that, right? We have the power of choice today to make time for the things that we enjoy. Put my energy into myself for once and give myself something healthy to work and strive towards, you know? So I challenge you guys to really take a look at some of the larger areas in your life. What can you say no to? Are there things that are going on right now that are not good for you, that are healthy, that are hurting your recovery, that are just hurting your overall emotional and general well-being? Are there things that are causing that harm right now? Can you take a look at that? And that's painful. I know it's painful to look at that stuff sometimes, but you matter and you're important. And if you are in recovery, whether you are or not, you're important anyways, you know, and your own self-worth is important. You deserve to be happy too, and that sometimes that means removing toxic things from our lives. And that can be a process, sure, but you know, again, you guys don't have to go through any of these things alone. Tacey also says, first time on here, and it helped me a lot today. Thank you very much. You helped me a lot today. Lots of hearts. I'm so glad you're here, Tacey, and everyone else who joined in today. I really appreciate you guys showing up. We've had a couple of days of, you know, really good book discussion on here, and I'm really loving these questions too. These are really thought-provoking questions, and just to see you guys communicating back on here is just huge. It really means a lot, and I hope that some of you who are new can maybe connect with each other on here. And again, you know, you guys can always call us at Recovery just to connect. Please remember that you are not alone, and please don't hesitate to reach out. You know, we're here. We're here no matter what. You know, we're all in this thing together, and I know there are moments of time where it does feel a little hopeless, but you know, they're just moments. It doesn't have to be the entire day of hopelessness. You know, we can hang on to that little bit of hope and share that light with each other. So I'm really glad that you guys are connecting on here and telling each other to message each other, you know, getting in touch with each other. That's huge. That's what that sense of community is all about, and you know, that's what we're all about at Recovery. So again, we would love to hear from you guys. So we do have one more video coming up later this evening from Yana, so I hope you guys can tune in. And I hope you guys can tune into the rest of our videos. There's some really cool content on here. We're doing, you know, some of these meditations. There is yoga. There's, you know, a couple workouts on here. Another book discussion. There's just been some really cool content that this is new for us. You know, this is not something that we normally have been doing at Recovery. But for the past couple weeks, it's all brand new, and it's all very exciting for us. And I hope you guys too. I hope you guys are getting a lot out of these videos. So I will be back here tomorrow. I will check in with you guys, and I hope to see some of you show up. And again, if not, you guys can always go watch these videos later on. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Bye, guys.